An hour later, he walked into Notcott, where he hadn't been since Meg first moved in. He looked piping hot. Yeah, he like, what the hell? Could you get you and your bitch together? Our honeymoon was a closely guarded secret. We left London in a car disguised as a removals van. The van had the windows covered with cardboard, and we went to the Mediterranean for 10 days. Glorious to be away on the sea in the sun, but we were also sick. The build up to the wedding had worn us down. We returned just in time for the official June celebration of Granny's birthday. We both didn't want to wait. We wanted to start a family straight away. We worried about the stress of our daily lives, that it might prevent us from getting pregnant. The toll was starting to be visible on Meg. She'd lost a great deal of weight in the last year, despite all the shepherd's pie. I'm eating more than ever, she reported, yet her weight kept dropping. And then Meg was late. We bought 2 home pregnancy tests, one for backup, and she took them both into the bathroom at Notcott. I was laying on our bed, and while waiting for her to come out, I fell asleep. Days later, the pregnancy was announced publicly. The papers reported that Meg was battling fatigue and dizzy spells and couldn't hold any food down, especially in the mornings, all of which was untrue. She was tired, but otherwise a dynamo. Indeed, she felt lucky not to be suffering severe morning sickness, since we were embarking on a hugely demanding tour. Everywhere we went, enormous crowds turned out, and she didn't disappoint them. I walked home from the office and found Meg sitting on the stairs. She was sobbing uncontrollably. My love, what happened? I thought for sure we'd lost the baby. I went to her on my knees. She choked out that she didn't want to do this anymore. Do what, my love? Live. I'm sorry that you're like angled like this. My bad. Lou on my lap. He ready for his midday nap. Okay. And he don't give a fuck about me working. He don't care. The fact that Meg said that she did not want to stay on this earth anymore, knowing that she had a child in her belly, that tells me a lot about the mental health of Meg. You got 2 volatile people, 2 intense, volatile people with each other. I didn't catch her meaning at first. I didn't understand, maybe didn't want to understand. My mind just didn't want to process the words. It's all so painful, she was saying. What is? To be hated like this, for what? What had she done? She asked. To go from being loved on Suits to being hated as Prince Harry's girlfriend, wife, fiance, whatever, is a big blow to her. But baby, that is minuscule compared to what some African Americans have gone through in their life. But I'll expound later. What had she done? She asked. She really wanted to know. What sin had she committed to deserve this kind of treatment? She just wanted to make the pain stop, she said. Not only for her, for everyone. For me, for her mother. But she couldn't make it stop. So she decided to disappear. Ooh, the more I read this book, the more I lose respect for the couple. I'm feeling Cephas and Reese with this. Like, I feel a couple out of control, just doing whatever. Incredibly, while reassuring her and hugging her, I couldn't entirely stop thinking like a fucking royal. We had a Centerbell engagement that night at the Royal Albert Hall, and I kept telling myself, we can't be late. We cannot be late. They'll skin us alive and they'll blame her. Slowly, too slowly, I realized that tardiness was the least of our problems. I said she should skip the engagement, of course. I needed to go make a quick appearance, but I'd be home fast. No, she insisted. She didn't trust herself to be at home alone for even an hour with such dark feelings. The next step would be for her to go to counseling, or go to counseling and a psychiatrist. She pushing her to go see a therapist. Girl, what about you, girl? So we put on our best kit and she applied dark lipstick to draw attention away from her bloodshot eyes, and out of the door we went. I woke up to a text. Bad news. What is it now? The mail on Sunday had printed the private letter Meg had written to her father, the letter that Granny and Pa urged her to write. February 2019, I was in bed. Meg was lying next to me, still asleep. I waited a bit, then broke the news to her softly. Your father's given your letter to the Daily Mail. No, Meg, I don't know what to say. He's given them your letter. That moment for me was decisive about Mr. Markle, but also about the press. I didn't want to hear any more talk of protocols, traditions, strategy. Enough, I thought. Enough. The paper knew it was illegal to publish that letter. They knew full well and did it anyway. Harry, you expecting too much from the media, real talk. Willie asked for a meeting. He wanted to talk about everything, the whole rolling catastrophe. Just him and me, he said. As it happened, Meg was out of town visiting girlfriends, so his timing was perfect. I invited him over. An hour later, he walked into Notcott, where he hadn't been since Meg first moved in. He looked piping hot. Yeah, he like, what the hell? Could you get you and your bitch together? It was early evening. I offered him a drink, asked about his family. Everyone's good. He didn't ask about mine because he don't like your wife. He don't like her. He didn't ask me about mine. He just went all in. Chips to the center of the table. Meg's difficult, he said. Oh, really? She's rude. She's abrasive. She's alienated half the staff. Not the first time he parroted the press narrative. Duchess difficult. All that bullshit. Rumors, lies from his team. Tabloid rubbish. And I told him so again. Told him I expected better from my older brother. I don't know. So let me say this, because she's a Leo woman, you know Leos have a tendency to be dramatic. Hence why she said she wanted to end herself previously. But they're also very strong, okay? And I see Meg like basically, no, I'm not about to curtsy in front of your grandma. You don't curtsy in front of my grandma. No, I ain't about to bring no Easter basket over here just because it's Easter time. No. Kate's decoration capabilities is fucking horrible. He had no interest in debate. He'd come to lay down the law. He wanted me to agree that Meg was wrong and then agree to do something about it. He seemed aggrieved. He seemed put upon that I wasn't meekly obeying him, that I was being so impertinent as to deny him or defy him. Isn't he like the king to be or something? I mean, he's your older brother and the king to be, or the king in waiting, or whatever the hell, the 20th in line or the 3rd in line, something like that. Out of that, there was a script here, and I had the audacity not to be following it. He was in full air mode and couldn't fathom why I wasn't dutifully playing the role of despair. Check your wife. Now, whether you got to be a king to be or just, the next door neighbor, check your wife. You're letting her run wild. Get that bitch. All my life, I had to fight. I had to fight my brothers. I had to fight my uncles. But I be damned. He was in full air mode. I was sitting on the sofa. He was standing over me. I remember saying, you need to hear me out, Willie. He wouldn't. He simply would not listen. That's what us older siblings do. We're not listening to you. Get out of my face. I can't even hear you. Shut up. You don't know nothing. To be fair, he felt the same about me. Both you niggas is out of control. Your wife is out of control, Harry, and you out of control. You been out of control, Harry. You know this. Soon after that, it was announced that the two royal households, Cambridge and Sussex, would no longer share an office. We'd no longer be working together in any capacity. The Fab Four finish. Reaction was about as expected. The public groaned, journalists brayed. The more disheartening response was from my family. Silence. They never commented publicly, never said anything privately to me. I never heard from Pa, never heard from Granny. It made me think, really think, about the silence that surrounded everything else that happened to me and Meg. I'd always told myself that just because everyone in my family didn't explicitly condemn the press attacks, it didn't mean they condoned them. But now I asked, is that true? How do I know? If they never say anything, why do I so often assume that I know how they feel? Pause. Virgos have a terrible problem with anxiety. I mean, terrible, which in essence is a perception problem. So because they're always waiting for something bad to happen, they're going to perceive everything in a way that something bad is happening because they have that anxious problem. So even when there's not a problem, a Virgo will make it a problem. Everything I'd been taught, everything I'd grown up believing about the family and about the monarchy, about its essential fairness, its job of uniting rather than dividing, was being undermined, called into question. Meg and I moved our office into Buckingham Palace. We also moved into a new house. Frogmore was ready for us. We loved the place. Doria, that's Meg's mother, was now staying with us, waiting for the baby to come. Neither she nor Meg ever strayed far. None of us did. The team and the palace began pressuring me. What the hell is going on over there, Harry? When that baby coming? The press can't wait forever, you know. This is it, everybody. I stationed myself at the head of the bed, holding Meg's hand, encouraging her to push. Push, my love, breathe. The doctor gave Meg a small hand mirror. I tried not to look, but I had to. I glanced, saw a reflection of the baby's head emerging. Stuck, tangled. Oh no, please no. The doctor looked up, her mouth set in a particular way. Things were getting serious. I said to Meg, my love, I need you to push. I didn't tell her why. I didn't tell her about the cord. Didn't tell her about the likelihood of an emergency C-section. I just said, give me everything you got. And she did. Wow. It really all begins with a struggle for freedom. A nurse swept the baby into a towel and placed him on Meg's chest. Paul. You know my wife was a gynecological nurse before she came down here. Because you know we both from the DMV. Oh my gosh, used to work on the OBGYN floor. Woo, my God, let me tell you something. Whenever I see a woman giving birth, y'all, I know you be like, Nay, that's the most beautiful thing on this earth. Giving birth is beautiful. Bullshit, the baker. Because y'all have a very weak stomach. Baby be having all these chicken livers and fucking gizzards around her when she come out the body or him, whatever it is. It'll be all this damn booty juice. Oh, Meg and I were on the phone with Elton John and his husband, David, and we confessed we need help. We're sort of losing it, guys. Come to us, Elton said, by which he meant their home in France, summer 2019. So we did. For a few days, we sat on their terrace and soaked up their sunshine. We spent long healing moments gazing out at the azure sea, and it felt decadent, not just because of the luxurious setting. Freedom of any kind, in any measure, had come to feel like scandalous luxury. To be out of the fishbowl for even an afternoon felt like day release from prison. We both felt a bit confident, therefore a bit more courageous, just days before our return home, when we strapped on the battle armor and announced that we were suing 3 of the 4 British tabloids, including the one that printed Meg's letter to her father. It was partially down to Elton and David. Let me tell you something. Another thing. You Virgos will throw a mother under a bus. Don't you ever rob a bank with one. Don't you ever steal a car with one. Don't you ever get a bitch pregnant with one. They can keep a secret until the cops come knocking. Then all of a sudden, everybody in trouble. If I'm in trouble, we all in trouble. What had happened was, they sitting around talking to Elton and David. Elton and David, these are the things that's getting on my nerves. Ellen Davis had a friend on the inside of the media world, and the friend was like, well, why don't you just sue him? I mean, other people have. Like, I heard Carol Burnett has sued a tabloid before. I rang Granny to tell her beforehand, Paul too, and I sent Willie a text. I let them know in advance about the lawsuit. In announcing the lawsuit, I laid out my case to the world. My wife has become one of the latest victims of a British tabloid press that wages campaigns against individuals with no thought to the consequence. A ruthless campaign that has escalated over the past year throughout her pregnancy and while raising our newborn son. I cannot begin to describe how painful it has been. Though this action may not be the safe one, it is the right one. I know it is because Meg told you it was. I was summoned to Buckingham Palace, a lunch with Granny and Paul.
Everybody!